Welcome to our webinar. Today's webinar topic is Edge 360, leveraging CADWorks for information and asset management. Our panelist today is Don Nichols. He's a founder and president of Image Custom Engineering Solutions, which specializes in providing engineering and design of oil and gas related equipment and facilities. And in addition to engineering services, Image also develops custom software for internal use as well as for third-party sales. Before starting Image in late 2003, Don held a variety of engineering and management positions in a company which was a leader in surface production equipment and compression services, both domestically and abroad. We would also like to real quick mention that this is not an Intergraph product, and we are not endorsing it. However, we do believe that this presentation today will show you the wide variety of customization possibilities CADWorks is capable of in the hands of end users and third-party developers, such as Image Custom Engineering Solutions. And with that, I'd like to invite our panelist. Don, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope all of you will consider this as time well spent. I'm going to go ahead, and we're right here at the login page for Edge 360. And I kind of want to explain why we created it. We wanted a single source, one-stop shop for all information, project-related information, to deliver to our clients. So for every project that we work on, the client gets a job number set up, and they have access to Edge 360 where they get all drawings, all calculations, anything that we develop is delivered through Edge 360. So I've logged in, and since I'm logged in as me, I have a list of all jobs that we have access to. I'm going to go in particular, into a demo job that we've got set up, 9017. This is my job home screen. You can see I still have this job list open, and of course I can sort and filter by all of those columns to get to a selected job. I'm going to start out by going into the P&ID suite, and I'm going to open my first page of P&IDs. You can see there were several pages of P&IDs there. Now, this is not just a drawing, it's an intelligent P&ID. It's CADWorks, of course, but I can select on anything here. I can select, for instance, this valve, and all of my information from the P&ID database is shown over here. Any fields that have no properties in it populated, it's not going to show anything. I can click on instruments, even process lines, vessels, etc. And you'll notice that with every item, I can open the attached documents right here. So let's go back to one of these control valves, and if I click on that, it opens the operating manual, which we've loaded here. And again, this is just an attached document in CADWorks P&ID, but then we've embedded it into Edge 360. Next, I would point out, of course, this is not just a viewing platform. We can also print from here and any document that we have open. Next thing I want to show is process lines. All of my process line information is embedded within the intelligent P&ID, and one thing that always drives me crazy when I've got multiple pages of P&IDs is when I look at something like a link arrow and have to read that this is going from this other sheet. Well, we've got a little quicker way to do that. I can click on that item and hit link, and notice it goes and opens a new tab and circles where that link came from. So I can move seamlessly through all of the pages of the P&IDs, and it makes it quite a breeze to navigate through multiple pages. This is a small project with just 5 P&IDs, but we've done projects with upwards of 100, and that's a really nice feature. Reports. We've got reports engine right here from the intelligent P&ID database. So for instance, if I wanted to see all control valves in this entire plant, I can go and run a report, or I could filter to just a particular unit. I'm going to go with unit number 1, and when I run the report, here is my control valves report. Of course, I can save this out as a PDF, Excel file, CSV, all sorts of different things. Of course, print from here as well. So this is just a live report coming from the SQL Server database, and it's on demand. Next, I want to show a little bit more about intelligent P&IDs. When I expand the bottom tab here, notice I've got different tabs: process lines, valves, instruments, mechanical, vessels, instrument list, nozzles, equipment. So you can see that it makes it very quick to go and find items. This is across the entire project, but for instance, if I wanted to find just the PSVs, I can type in PSV in the tag field and it filtered to all the PSVs. I can simply select all and hit View P&ID, and notice here it's going and opening all these different tabs, and it has circled every instance of a PSV on every page. And of course I could print that and walk down the hall to talk to an engineer or whatever I need to do with that. So it makes it very quick to drill down and get information. So for instance, if I wanted to find all the 2-inch valves in amine service, I could filter by more than one column and go and print or circle all of those in an instant. All right. I am now going to one other thing I meant to point out while I was there is this filtered list. However I have it filtered, I can export and drop that out to Excel, and we have on the back end, we've got capabilities to edit those fields offline and bring them back in. Now I'm going to go back to the job main page, and notice here I want to point out that, see how, let me go find an example here. Some of these files are read, some are not. So red files mean I have not opened this version of that file. So as soon as I click on an item, it goes and opens it, and you'll see bill of materials, and that I can view that Excel file, and it changes it to black. Well, the reason that is convenient is I can go into my filter and say, show me only new and updated, and now it will show only folders that contain files and files that are new. I should point out that the way this works is every time we save over a new file, save a new file over the previous version, it auto-archives the previous version and puts it in my archives folder. So it would show up right here. If I go to there, you can see here's a list of previous files of each file that has been revised. Right quick, I'm going to show something in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and right-click this, and I'm going to download that, and I'm going to save it to my desktop. And close. Now then, since I'm viewing this 2D drawing, well, actually I'm viewing the archive. Let me go back and look at the current file. So if I go to ZZZ1000, my general arrangement drawing, which is this file right here, notice when I click on it that I am on Rev 1. Okay. If I want to compare this to a previous version, I can go right here to my Tools tab, Compare Sheets. I'm going to browse. I'm going to go back to my desktop, download a file. I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to compare Sheet 1 and say OK. Now you can see red is the new addition, green is what was deleted. So that was where it was formerly. So you see our red mark. So it literally overlays the two drawings and calls out any differences, which can be very handy, as you can imagine. So I also should point out, we can download files. We can also upload files. Where is the upload? Right here. That's download. This is upload. So I can download en masse, and I can also upload. So we use this a lot of times for purposes where other people would set up an FTP site or something like that. We can actually use Edge 360 to move large files. So let me go back to the P&ID now and show just a little bit more there. If I go and open that drawing up again, notice let's take this control valve that we selected earlier. If I want to know where that is in the 3D model, there's this button right here. Now I could have gone and opened the 3D model and zoomed around and tried to find it, but I think this is a pretty convenient way to do that. So There it is. It is highlighted in blue. So blue is my highlight color. As soon as I hit escape, it unselects it. So I'm going to Alt-Tab over. Notice I've still got my P&ID opened. If I Alt-Tab back over to the P&ID, then I would point out that this is really handy when you've got dual screens, because I can select something here and zoom to it there. So if I select that valve and hit 3D again, once again it's going to be hidden on the back side over there, but in blue we've got that valve highlighted. Now I would point out I can go to full screen, which is handy for presentations. I can do things like hide the shell. So if I go and select this shell and right click and say hide, I can see inside, or I can make it transparent, which sometimes is more beneficial because I can see the shell in context of the internals. Oops. So that's another handy feature there. One of the other things that you can do is we can do cross sections. And so if I wanted to do an XZ plane cross section, we'll zoom out. I can go and cross section that. That's handy sometimes when you have multiple levels in a model. All right. Now, one of the things that I would point out is this is not just a pretty 3D model. Go ahead and hit Show All. I can click on every item in here and read information about that item, whether it's a piece of structural steel or a pipe or a nozzle on a vessel or a temperature gauge. All of those items are intelligent, where when I click on them, I can read the bill of materials information. Now, this is literally the bill of materials information embedded within the CADWorks model right from here. Okay. Now, one of the other things that's pretty neat is I can click on any item that is related to the P&ID, things like valves, instruments, vessels. Those items are linked to the P&ID such that if I click the P&ID button, notice it toggled me back over to the P&ID and circled that control valve on the P&ID. Let's try that again. I'll select a vessel, click the P&ID button, it goes and circles it. Okay. Now, I would point out that even though I'm in the 3D view, remember those control valves and attached documents? Again, I can pull up attached documents right from here, whether it's code calculations on a vessel or you know, information about the temperature indicator or whatever. We can get to it from either place. I would also point out that even structural steel shapes are intelligent. So notice I can click on structural steel or this lift lug, and even this little pipe support, if I can get it clicked, I've got all my bill of materials information there. But whenever I click on that, I can also go to the 2D drawing. And in this case, I got two places. I'm going to go to the 501 drawing, which is my structural steel drawing. And notice it opens another tab. Now it's my structural steel, and it zooms to item ball number 33, which is the lift lug which we selected. Okay, so that's kind of handy. I don't have to scroll around to find that. It goes right to it. If I select item number 22 here, it will retrieve just from the item ball the bill of materials information, which keeps me from having to go and scroll around and try to find that. That is particularly handy if I happen to be on the second page and want to see what item ball 38 is, and I have no bill of materials on that page. So you can see how this is very user-friendly to get to that information. If I wanted to see where this item was, I can click on an item ball here and say, show me that in the 3D model, and it actually pulls up just the structural steel model and highlights that particular in context of just the structural steel. Go back to the GA. Now, if we go and click on this control valve or this PSV valve or whatever, I also can click my 2D button, and now it goes and opens up the GA 2D drawing of that particular piece of equipment, and you can see that it zoomed to the call-out for PSV S1. If there were multiple call-outs, which I think there is, I can hit Next, and you see it took me to sheet 4 where I have another call-out instant for that item. I can click on any intelligent tag within the drawing, and notice here I click on this vessel. It retrieves the P&ID database information from the 2D environment and brings it here to my side tab. Notice I still have my attached documents. I can also click 3D and watch it toggle me back over to the 3D model and highlighted that vessel. I can go to the P&ID, so I'm going to Alt-Tab over. I can select a vessel from the P&ID. I can hit 3D and watch it highlighted my filter separator now. I can click on a process line from the P&ID and say, show me that in the 3D model, and you see it toggled and highlighted. Oops, let me do that again. I clicked off of it. You see it highlighted right here, my process line. Okay. Now we'll go back to the 2D drawing, and we're going to click on a process line here, and notice I've got my process line information. Well, it retrieves it there. And we will go and select a, let's find something here. Where's my PSV? We'll select the PSV here. Again, we see the P&ID database information, any attached documents. If I hit 3D, now it opens the 3D model. So I didn't have to have the 3D model open in the first place. I just did that out of convenience. And it has opened it and highlighted it right there. Okay, so one of the things I would point out too is we had the P&ID open earlier. If I select that PSV, open the P&ID. If I select this line, even from the P&ID, I can open my attached isometric drawing. I could open that from any call out in 2D, 3D, or P&ID. Now, next thing I want to do is explain a concept that we call tracks, which is the ability to track information needs about objects or documents. So we're going to submit what's called a technical query about this filter separator. So I've selected it in the P&ID. Now I'm going to go to this Tracks tab, select that, hit Add, and I'm going to choose Technical Query. It's urgent, and that I need this by tomorrow, and I need internals detailed, or details. Needy. I'm a terrible speller when I type fast. There we go. There. And if I want to, I could attach a file, but in this case, I'm just going to hit Add, and now it's added technical query number 1. Now then, if I close this file, and if I refresh this list by hitting this button here, notice I've got the little quantity number 1 out to the side. If I expand that, that's because I've got a TQ associated with this document or with objects within that document. When I open that P&ID up, it automatically circles that filter separator and highlights that we still have an outstanding information need. Now, I should point out at this point that I just received an email on my phone and back at my desk, of course, that shows shows me that track item was entered. Now, also, if I go back to this 3D model and refresh this list, you'll notice that there's TQ number 1 associated with the 2D and the 3D. And if I go and close my 3D drawing and reopen it, notice that that filter separator is highlighted, and upon opening it points out the fact that I'm still waiting on a tracks item. Okay. Now, let me show you where this appears too. If we go back out to our job homepage, if I refresh this list, oops, that's not the refresh button. Refresh button.
you'll see that we have one outstanding track. There's my tracks and job tracks, and we can see those on the tracks dashboard as well. Tracks dashboard, we can see that there's TQ number 1 and that we have a need. Okay, so that lets everybody that is part of the project see and help track that information. It has assignments, who's touched it, then you can reassign it to someone else and ultimately close it out. And all of those tracks items are kept so that you have complete record of all the interactions. Okay, so one other type of tracks item, we're going to go back into the jobs page, and oh, I didn't close a window before. There we go. So let's say we wanted to submit a markup about this drawing here. We could mark that up right from this environment. I would go in and add a markup here, and let's say I want to change length 26 foot. All right. Now I'm going to take this drawing and I'm going to do a save as. Where's my save as? Sorry. There, I'm going to go ahead and save it in my folder here that I made, and markup and save. Now then, if I close this drawing, I'm going to go back to this file, and now we're going to submit a markup about this particular drawing. Notice there's no markup now because we cannot edit the native file. Oh, and there's another thing. It went and zoomed, even on the 2D drawing, it took me to the fact that we've got a filter separator with an outstanding technical query. I'm going to go ahead and right-click, and I'm going to say Add Tracks Item, and I'm going to say Markup. Again, it's urgent, and I need it by next Friday, and revise length. And I hit Add File. And we go to the desktop and to my folder where I saved that markup, and we then add that tracks item and it uploads it. Now my project manager, which is me on this demo job, again gets an email, and if I refresh this list, you'll see that this document now has 2 outstanding tracks items, 1 markup and 1 TQ. And of course, if we went over to our job homepage and went to the tracks dashboard, then we would see that that additional track. Go ahead and close the P&ID for a second, and that extra window that's lost. All right, so tracks. If we go back to the main tracks dashboard, I would point out that there's many other types of tracks that could be put in here. Documents received, documents transmitted, markups we've already talked about, test points, to-do items, etc., etc. So these can be expanded with other kinds of buckets of business needs. All right. Back on this page, you'll notice the My Tracks versus Job Tracks. My Tracks are things that are assigned to me personally. Job Tracks are job tracks for that project. These push pins change colors. Each job can have a GPS coordinate, therefore locating a push pin on the map, and the push pin changes colors based on whether or not there are outstanding tracks and whether or not they are late. So next thing I'm going to go to is something we call SafeSim, which is another kind of area within Edge 360. We use something called Unity, which is one of the leading video game engines, and we wrote our own publishing method to essentially push these drawings out from CADWorks into a graphic type that Unity can read. But we've done that where it has full intelligence. Now, you'll notice here, we opened up this skid and my filter sep is flashing, and even here from SafeSim, we're being reminded that that item has an outstanding track item. I can go back, though, and one of the benefits of tracks within Edge 360 is it can handle larger file types or file sizes than what we can with just DWFs. It did pull up the entire 3D model. Now, this 3D model, I can see all of the skids together,
But in Edge 360 and in SafeSim, we still have the intelligence in this 3D model. So I can still go to items. I can click this valve. I can go to an item within my P&ID, the 2D drawings, etc. I still have my attached documents, things like that. But I can also do other things like integrate the knowledge that's embedded within the P&ID and visualize that by doing things like showing the normal states of the valves. So you can see that green is open, red is closed. That is very convenient to help you visualize. I can also go in, and I'm not going to do it right now, but I could go in and create alternate states where maybe startup bypass or blowdown or whatever, and visualize those valves. Also, I can do things like pressure propagation through a system. So if that elbow that I just selected were under pressure, where all would that pressure flow to? So you click that, and you can see that it is following the line both upstream and downstream, then following all branches until it finally dead ends. And of course, you see it's flowed backwards through the rest of the plant. I can go in and clear that, and I'm going to take that valve now and close it, and we will run that again, and we will see the difference in the pressure propagation through the system based on this new parameter. The valve positions for the normal position is stored within the P&ID database, and then any alternate states can be created and saved right from here. Now I can go ahead and open this control valve up, and we can consider what happens after that. You'll see it goes on, flows down, get them back, and lights up that tower. So it's a very good way to help visualize flow through systems. There's you can do things like save states, kind of paint schemes, highlight all the pipe, all your amine piping a certain color, and then save that for other viewers and things like that. There's a lot of features, and I'm running out of time, so I'm going to kind of cut to one more that I wanted to make sure and get pointed out here. SafeSim is also meant to be a training platform. So our procedure, I programmed in a procedure, I should say added a procedure. There's no programming involved. The procedure is bypass filter separator. We're going to use SafeSim to actually teach someone how they should execute this procedure so that they can safely isolate this vessel, then open it up to change out filter elements. So I'm loading the training module, and once again, it's just loading that video. My procedure is bypass filter separator, and I'm going to start that. Step 1 of 7, you can see down at the bottom, we've got 7 steps. We should open that valve, the one that is green and flashing. Notice I can still, from here, open and attach documents. I can go and pull this up in a P&ID or whatever. I'm going to move on to step 2. I'm going to close that valve. Step 3, close the inlet block valve. Step 4, I'm going to drain liquids off of the filter sump. Notice I can still scroll around and look at it from wherever. Then step 5 is going to be my second sump. Step 6, I'm going to blow down the vessel. And then step 7, I'm going to open the closure so I can get inside of it. So that is how we would use Edge 360 to train operators on how to correctly access this piece of equipment. Whenever we create a procedure, there's actually, in one step, adding a procedure is done right here. It's as simple as selecting an item, picking an action, typing a note. That is train that I just showed you. Teach is where I go and try to execute the procedure, and it tells me immediately if I pick the wrong thing or pick something out of order. Test is where we go and execute the procedure, and it is a test with a time limit, and it's pass, fail, and the results are logged to a database. Therefore, if you change a procedure, you can also generate a report of people that need to requalify on that procedure because they tested before the change. So taking the CADWorks platform and the knowledge that is managed within that infrastructure and extending its life throughout the complete engineering, construction, startup into operations and maintenance. And it is all just a derivative product of the CADWorks platform, if you will. That pretty well wraps this up. I should point out that there are many more features. This was high and fast, and there's just not enough time to cover everything that's in this.
but I hope that it gave everybody a good idea of the breadth of this platform. With that being said, I guess I'm going to go ahead and stop and see if we got any questions that I can answer.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Don. Everyone, if you have any questions, please type them in the questions tab now. We'll go through this. We'll go ahead and with the first question here. How much is this application?
How much is it?
Yes.
Talking about dollars.
Yes.
It's a consultative sale. It's a consultative sale. Right now we use this internally as a delivery tool for all of our clients. If someone is interested in this, to use this platform, they would need to buy Edge 360, and they would need training and support on some of our other products that make this all possible. So that, unfortunately, is not a question that I can answer here, but I certainly would like to talk to that person on a phone call and kind of walk through the process and try to get an idea of what they need, and you know, the size of the company, that sort of thing. So this isn't a desktop item that you spend $2,500 and load it on a machine and go. This is a consultative sale.
Okay, we'll go ahead and next question. Are there any version restrictions?
Version restrictions? Yeah, I mean, it has to be Internet Explorer. We don't work with Google. Well, I say that Google Chrome doesn't use ActiveX controls, which some of our tools use, nor does Apple's iOS or Safari. So for full functionality of Edge 360, in other words, to click on a valve and go somewhere else, you need to have Internet Explorer. However, if you open this up on an iPad, you will be able to view, instead of DWF versions, for all 2D drawings, you can view essentially a shadow copy that is a PDF, so you can at least view the documents.
Okay, next question. If we have a CADWorks 2015, can we just add Edge 360?
Can you just add Edge 360? So Edge 360 is I should have pointed this out at the first. All of this data is in the cloud, and it's on our Edge 360 server. To put our designs in Edge 360, we model everything in CADWorks. We draw the P&IDs in CADWorks P&ID. We use our tools to link the P&ID in 3D models, and then we publish them with our publisher, which is essentially it takes what AutoCAD does with making DWFs, but then we hang a lot of information in the form of hyperlinks and others as well into those documents, whereby when they're placed into the Edge 360 cloud space, Edge 360 knows how to interpret all of these things to maneuver back and forth. So a CADWorks model done in 2015 could be gotten into Edge 360 even after the fact. The best case scenario is you work with us, we provide all of the technology and the web space for you to have your own Edge 360 server, and then we would train you up on using that, and you would do exactly what we do for our customers.
Perfect. And if your question wasn't answered during the Q&A, we will get back to you directly. If you still have a question, please feel free to email me or email Don directly, and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much for attending, everyone, and we hope to see you at the next webinar.